This week's installment has excerpt from my book, The Very Fine Light. Part 2 celebrates the Advent season. And Part 3, When Researching an Apparition. First, segments from the audiobook version of The Very Fine Light. Chapter 30. Buell spotted the Christmas tree on the corner glowing brightly, and the colorful lighting reflected off the darkened warehouse. "Look, Buell, I had them put up this display with that spare tree," Julie said with a childlike excitement in her voice. As they turned the corner, he saw Randy and Mikey at the old warehouse. He quickly pulled over to the curb just past the bucket truck in order to see if the warehouse door was open. Mikey again looked at his watch, then pleaded, "Randy, we can't be late for the dress rehearsal, and we still got to change into our clothes for it." Randy looked at Mikey, then said, "All right, we're done. I'll come back tomorrow morning first thing and secure the connection." Buell got out of the SUV and strained to look at what Randy and Mikey were doing. Initially, from this vantage point, it looked like Randy was huddling near the side door. Looking intently towards the doorway, Buell could now see that the wooden 2x4 plank he had placed was still there. He determined they had not entered the building. Julie looked at Buell. Maybe he could skip dress rehearsal? Her request momentarily distracted Buell's worry over the close call. He looked over to Julie and shook his head, then shouted back to Mikey, "Yes, well, his community service has him duty-bound to act as Santa Claus and hand out gifts at the VFW, too." Sure, I know it's part of this raw deal," Randy shouted back. "Julie, I've told you he's nothing but trouble," Buell said as he got into the SUV and slammed his door shut. Buell's foot punched down hard on the gas pedal of the all-wheel drive SUV. It responded with the tires squealing and beginning to smoke as rubber from all four wheels met the road. This distracted Randy. He looked to see Buell's fist and middle finger thrust above the SUV's roof as intense amounts of smoke began rising from the burning rubber made as the powerful SUV peeled out. "Really, Buell," Julie said tersely. "Really, Julie, you're not being a good manager if you start going soft." Julie turned her head away from Buell as a scowl overtook her facial expression. Distracted at seeing Buell's actions, Randy stopped from heading back to the electrical connection. He and Mikey looked towards Buell's car and saw Julie's hard look in their direction. Mikey remarked, "Boy, they're happy one minute and mad the next." Randy also mistook her frown as a look of anger towards him. And now, on to part 2 of this podcast. The start of the 4 Sundays of Advent lead up to the Nativity of Jesus. With Thanksgiving, the gears started shifting into a holiday mode, beginning, at least in my world, 24 hours before, back on a Wednesday. Normal workaday world business began tapering off, people leaving work early, car repair places jam-packed, grocery stores full of last-minute foraging for the big day, and then the excitement of eating, and more eating on Thanksgiving. Leftovers dictated the weekend's meals. The fact that we tried to take advantage and celebrate throughout the weekend post-Turkey Day to include Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now begins a shift to make time to pray and help others. The first candle was lit on Sunday, November 28th. It is much like an usher who guides us to our seat in a darkened theater. The candle's beam stands out against the darkening nightly sky that occurs during this time of year, as the sun currently sets around 4:30 in the afternoon. The Advent candles of the 4 Sundays offer their light while we move into this final part of the year. Churches offer us daily formal worship times. Now to decide how we wish to approach this pre-Christmas time. Christmas lights on houses begin to add color to the early night that foreshadows the Christmas Eve birth of Christ. And how about Christmas trees in those Christmas tree lots that seem to have sprouted up overnight? And then there are the advertisers, those whose sole purpose is to promote end-of-year selling opportunities. 'Tis their season too. Hearing those first Christmas songs during the Thanksgiving Day holiday, at first we shrug off the Christmas music and ads on radio and TV, with their clarion call not so subtly signaling us that now is the time to shop for the people we care about. The holiday commercials do confuse things a bit. There's the 25-day chocolate Advent calendar offering a tempting new candy for each day of the week. Seems at odds when considering the going without of the Nativity fast and quiet reflections of Advent. And then there's a Christmas music spot singing out a favorite Christmas tune via different ringtones from cell phones and doorbells. And then there's another, a tortured word poem for selling holiday stationery to the tune of 12 Days of Christmas. Frantic selling pitches that play repeatedly throughout the month. They tend to obscure the peace we have set out to reclaim in our lives through prayers and quiet time around these Advent candle flames. But fortunately, the second Sunday comes, and another candle will follow it, adding more illumination. Each of the 4 candles add more light, building up our anticipation. And now, on to part 3 of this podcast. When researching an apparition. As I travel around the world researching apparition sites, a pattern of similar experiences has emerged that's worth mentioning. On an overseas visit, beginning in Budapest, Hungary, I endeavored to visit a site where a Hungarian woman had relatively recently been recognized for her spiritual interlocutions with Jesus and the Virgin Mary. Elizabeth Kindelman had experienced a number of spiritual reflections over a 20-year period, from 1961 up through 1983. During those years, she wrote the experiences down in a series of handwritten diaries that since then have been carefully reviewed for authenticity. But it was at the National Congress of the Flame of Love of the Immaculate Heart of Mary movement in Budapest on June 6, 2009, when Cardinal Peter Erdő, Archbishop of Esztergom, Budapest, Hungary, who was also the president of the Council of Episcopal Conferences in Europe, who at that conference made the formal announcement and gave the text of the spiritual diary recognition, and the flame of love of the Immaculate Heart of Mary that Elizabeth Kindelman spoke of is a movement that has been spreading around the world, so that Our Lady will triumph through her flame of love, which she implores for all of us to form Christ within our hearts. These reflections included a call to action from the Lord for the spreading of the word of Mary's flame of love, which is intended to outpour her overflowing graces for humanity, to carry on our task to bring the faith and hope that light brings to the beginning of a new day, under the guidance of the Madonna's flame, in order to overcome the darkness that places shadows over humanity. Now, over the period of 20 years, Elizabeth hand-wrote the messages she received in this series of notebooks known as her spiritual diaries. In addition to her bishop, other bishops from South America have given this same important honor to her works. There will be more on Elizabeth Kindelman and her experience in the future. Right now, I'd like to share my research experience while I was in Hungary. I hired a driver for part of the day with the intention that he'd take me to the church where she's laid to rest. And also my desire was to see the modest museum and possibly to see her diaries themselves. Though specific details for finding the church location were somewhat confusing while stateside, from all the materials available to me at the time, I felt that it provided enough to nevertheless dial in the location through my hotel's information help desk. But first off, they could not locate the church by name. This surprised me, but I had some other information which gave me confidence to provide alternate coordinates. And these coordinates yielded a different church, but near the information to the location that I had. Ultimately, I had to make a decision to go or no go forward using these other details I had gathered. But they did include a remembrance of what the church looked like from a video I had recently seen just before I left home. And so, with this in mind, my driver, who spoke English pretty well, picked me up. Though at times, I thought he only understood a little bit of what I was saying. The driver diligently installed the coordinates into Google or some other such app on his cell phone. Well, we took off into the hinterlands. We traveled for about a half an hour, and this seemed about right to me based on the map work that I had done back home. And voila, directly ahead was a town with the steeple that looked familiar to the one I'd seen in the video. The driver, still looking at his cell phone, exited at what seemed like the right exit just before reaching the town. I was very excited, and why not? Because the church was right in sight. Now, the driver continued following the directions on his app, and of course, being in a foreign language, I didn't understand what was what. Yet before long, the length of travel and the direction we were driving seemed to be going a very long way from the site and the town. Unfortunately, the driver took me to a different church about 15 miles away by my estimate. Try as I could not get him to double back and try again to go to find the church tower I had spotted. He asked a number of people we encountered in this little town about the church, as well as a number of other people, each giving him directions. So as we would continue driving, I assumed surely we were being directed to the church I had seen. Unfortunately, before long, he found 3 other churches within this same little village area, far removed from where the church that I spotted was. We literally went round and round in circles to the point where even I recognized where we were. And well, for whatever reason, the next thing I knew, we were on the outskirts of Metro Budapest, and the driver was giving me his apologies. And well, I'm still unclear why he did not follow my simple direction to go back and retrace the route where I saw the church. Anyways, I did not find the site, nor my hoped-for photos to share with you on my website, constantprocession.com. But as my wife said, at least you saw the church. I shared this experience with the very helpful United States National Director, Eileen Piergiovanni, from the Flame of Love of the Immaculate Heart of Mary here. She responded with some nice thoughts, including, quote, "Perhaps you touched the hearts of the driver and the hotel clerk, and they will seek the history of Elizabeth Kindleman and the Flame of Love." So thank you very much, Eileen. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, and thanks to the Flame of Love of the Immaculate Heart of Mary movement here. I look forward to bringing you more about Elizabeth Kindleman in the future. And oh yes, as you follow your map app, don't forget to take a look around you.